The Secretary-General of the United Nations is the head of the United Nations Secretariat, one of the principal organs of the United Nations. The Secretary-General also acts as the de facto spokesperson and leader of the United Nations. The role is laid out by Chapter 15 of the United Nations Charter. The current Secretary-General is Ban Ki-moon of South Korea, who took office on the 1st of January 2007. His first term expired on the 31st of December 2011. He was re-elected, unopposed, to a second term on the 21st of June 2011. His successor will be appointed by the General Assembly in 2016. Role: the Secretary-General was envisioned by U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt as a world moderator, but the vague definition provided by the UN Charter left much room for interpretation by those who would later inhabit the position. According to the UN website, the roles are further defined as diplomat and advocate, civil servant, and CEO. Nevertheless, this more abstract description has not prevented the office holders from speaking out and playing important roles on global issues to various degrees. Article 97 under Chapter 15 of the United Nations Charter states that the Secretary-General shall be the chief administrative officer of the organization, but does not dictate the specific obligations. Responsibilities of the Secretary-General are further outlined in Articles 98 through 100. Article 98 states that they shall act as the chief administrative officer in all meetings of the General Assembly, of the Security Council, of the Economic and Social Council and the Trusteeship Council, and shall perform other functions as are entrusted to him by these organs. They are also responsible for making an annual report to the General Assembly. According to Article 99, they may notify the Security Council on matters which, in their opinion, may threaten the maintenance of international peace and security. Other than these few guidelines, little else is dictated by the Charter. Interpretation of the Charter has varied between Secretaries-General, with some being much more active than others. The Secretary-General, along with the Secretariat, is given the prerogative to exhibit no allegiance to any state but to only the United Nations organization. Decisions must be made without regard to the state of origin. The Secretary-General is highly dependent upon the support of the member states of the UN. The Secretary-General would fail if they did not take careful account of the concerns of member states, but they must also uphold the values and moral authority of the United Nations, and speak and act for peace, even at the risk, from time to time, of challenging or disagreeing with those same member states. The personal skills of the Secretary-General and the staff are crucial to the function. The central position of the UN headquarters in the international diplomatic network is also an important asset. The Secretary-General has the right to place any dispute on the provisional agenda of the Security Council. However, they work mostly behind the scenes if the members of the Council are unwilling to discuss a dispute. Most of the time is spent on good offices missions and mediation, sometimes at the request of deliberative organs of the UN, but also frequently on their own initiative. The function may be replaced or supplemented by mediation efforts by the major powers. UN peacekeeping missions are often closely linked to mediation. The recent improvement in relations between the permanent members of the Security Council has strengthened the role of the Secretary-General as the world's most reputable intermediary. In the early 1960s, Soviet First Secretary Nikita Khrushchev led an effort to abolish the Secretary-General position. The numerical superiority of the Western powers combined with the one-state one-vote system meant that the Secretary-General would come from one of them and would potentially be sympathetic towards the West. Khrushchev proposed to replace the Secretary-General with a three-person leading council, one member from the West, one from the Eastern Bloc, and one from the non-aligned powers. This idea failed because the neutral powers failed to back the Soviet proposal. Selection and term of office. Article 97 of the United Nations Charter determines that the Secretary-General is appointed by the General Assembly upon the recommendation of the Security Council. As the recommendation must come from the Security Council, any of the 5 permanent members of the Council can veto a nomination. Most Secretaries-General are compromise candidates from middle powers and have little prior fame. Despite the Charter giving the General Assembly provisions to influence the selection process, the chosen Secretaries-General reflect that the selection process remains in the control of the permanent members. Some customs have developed regarding the selection process, such as that the appointee may not be a citizen of any of the Security Council's 5 permanent members. The General Assembly Resolution 51/241 in 1997 stated that in the appointment of the best candidate, due regard should be given to regional rotation of the appointee's national origin and to gender equality. It has become customary for Secretaries-General to be appointed for 5-year terms, although this is discretionary, and Trygve-Lie's second appointment was for 3 years. They may be reappointed for subsequent terms, and while there is no formal limit to the number of terms, none so far has held office for more than 2 terms. The Security Council and General Assembly have taken steps towards making the selection process more transparent and open in 2016 and have sent a letter to member states asking them to nominate candidates for the position. In practice, previous Secretaries-General were chosen behind closed doors by the Security Council and then had the names submitted to General Assembly for ratification. No candidate has ever been rejected by the General Assembly. General Assembly President Jens Luketoft intends to hold public meetings in early 2016 where General Assembly members can question candidates for the position and advocates the General Assembly selecting a candidate. Residence. The official residence of the Secretary-General is a townhouse in Sutton Place, Manhattan, in New York City, United States. The townhouse was built for Anne Morgan in 1921, and donated to the United Nations in 1972. List of Secretaries-General. Living former Secretaries-General. As of August 2016, 2 former Secretaries-General are alive.